This was a result of a Deseret News article that I had posted a comment on, and they surprisingly accepted, because they typically don't accept my posts about the LDS Church. And I will quote in part what I had said in that post. You can look up any of my Deseret News posts. There's a lot of them from 2017, and I think 2017. Yeah, there's a backstory with the Deseret News. They've deleted all my posts from before 2008, and that gets into part of the Utah conspiracy against me that is a legitimate conspiracy. Means more than one person involved in criminal behavior. It does not mean a fallacious argument. It does not mean a fake news story. Conspiracy simply means more than one person involved in crime. And and a theory is not an opinion. A theory is premises that lead to the conclusion, and it's a sound argument. If you don't like the conclusion, you've got to attack the premises. You've got to identify which one is incorrect. If you can't identify which one is incorrect, you're out of luck. You've got to accept the conclusion. But that's another philosophical issue. So here's from my post at the Deseret News. I say, after Joseph and Hiram Smith's murder, their church was shattered into over 80 different groups in what is called the succession crisis. In the comments, there are Mormons who believe their Brighamite Splinter group stands or falls on Joseph Smith, when in reality, the Brighamite Mormons stand or fall on Brigham Young. So when Mormons say Mormonism is God's true church, they need to understand they are dismissing all other Mormon splinter groups, and including all of Christianity and Judaism and Muslims and Hindus, etc. And they're even dismissing Emma Smith, the wife of Joseph Smith, who was the woman's president in the original church that Joseph Smith founded. Okay, and then I get into, I show a picture from the church about Nebuchadnezzar's dream interpretation. It's a stick figure thing with labels as to what each symbol represents. And the church claims that they are the stone in Nebuchadnezzar's dream that rolled down the mountain and filled the whole earth and became a mountain itself. Okay, so now if the LDS Church, and this is from the comment from my post on the website, now if the LDS Church of Joseph Smith's was shattered into over 80 splinter groups, it therefore cannot be the stone in Nebuchadnezzar's dream. It obviously refers to the man-child of Revelation 12, whom the Mormons call the One Mighty and Strong, whom the Jews call their Messiah, whom Isaiah calls Emmanuel, whom Jeremiah calls the branch, and who is symbolized in the Old Testament stories, such as that of Samson. And I again bring reference to the movie that just came out on 15th of May. And yeah, I even put in the question, did you buy the DVD when it came out on the 15th of May? I hate, no, not really, to tell Mormons this, but their Brighamite church falls with Brigham Young. And you all know it does. You know, you can't have a prophet come up with a new God And if you're not familiar with the new God of Brigham Young, then you're not familiar with the Adam God doctrine. He changed the nature and character of God. And I've got another post that I'll do a video of why I can't understand why Mormons of the Brighamite faith still cling to their church over the original gospel that Joseph Smith established. It just boggles my mind with all the crimes and sins of Brigham Young. You know, for me, it was murder. That was enough to say, nope, that can't be the true church. That can't be God's church. God would never appoint a murderer to lead his church. And I was hoping that other ways might convince Mormons, but nevertheless. God does not approve of a president of the church who murders the leaders in order to become the successor, murders the saints, commits adultery, murders others, changes the nature and character of God, alters the Lord's temple endowment, changes the doctrines of the gospel, uses tithing for his own gain and for the building of luxurious temples and congregations instead of giving it to the poor, as was scripturally intended, etc., 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 etc. Mormons, through Brigham Young, have only a sandy beach to build their foundation on. They have no rock upon which to build a sure foundation. And so with President Nelson, if you paid attention, he claimed authority through Brigham Young. Not Joseph Smith, Brigham Young. And when you realize that Brigham Young is not God's chosen successor, you realize that none of the successors since Brigham Young, including President Nelson, are legitimate in the eyes of God. This is God's eyes, not my opinion, God's eyes. If you believe President Nelson is the true prophet of God, then you believe in someone who commits murder, who commits adultery, who changes the nature and character of God, setting up an idol of God rather than his true nature, alters the temple endowment, changes the doctrines of the gospel, and abuses the tithing, and in the process neglects the poor, and all sorts of other problems that Brigham Young is documented as having done. So that's video from my posts. I'm hoping to do more videos as time goes by, but the date to watch out for now is 13 June 2018, and I'll do a video on that eventually. So